wanna can I get pen? You know how my papers are. Yeah.
Sorry?
Yeah,
What do you
do you
want?
want my pen?
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, you can start teaching.
Okay.
So everything's good, right? Yeah, thank you. Pass me one.
Oh.
Yeah.
So, hi everyone, my name is Wendy, and I'm your academic consultant for COMM 95. So in this review session, I'm going to go over the review package with you. And the review package could be downloaded on from the Facebook page of CMP, and the latest version has been uploaded to the Facebook page last night. So the latest version. If you don't have it printed with you, like if you don't have it here with you, you can just refer to the one on the projector. It's fine. Yeah. And if you have any questions that are not about the review package, you can come to my office hour, which is tomorrow, from Wait, this is the okay. You can. This is the wrong slide. This is the midterm slide. Well, okay. I have a office hour tomorrow, and it is from 1 p.m. to 15, so it's like 13 to 15, and in room HA 092, or you can email me at this email. Okay, so we're going to start with repeated games today. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is that I will give you a few minutes to look at the questions, and I will go over the solutions with you.
Don't change this. Just keep it. Just point it that way. Just don't change it.
Okay, so the first question is asking, what is the Nash equilibrium or equilibria if the game is played only once? This is just like any of the prisoner dilemma game you have done before. So if the game is only played once and simultaneously, if player 1 cheats, then it is player 2's best response to cheat, because it gives a payoff of 5, which is larger than if player 2 cooperates. And if player 1 cooperates, then player 1 would cheat again. And if player 2 cheats, then it is player 1's best response to cheat. If player 2 cooperates, then it's player 1's best response to also cheat. So this is just like a prisoner dilemma game where both players have the incentive to cheat. This is simple. So the Nash equilibrium is 5-5. Okay. But what if the game is played indefinitely with a tit for tat strategy in place? So this is a repeated game situation. So a tit-for-tat strategy refers to a repeated game strategy where both players agree to cooperate from the beginning, and a player takes the action that its rival took in the previous round. So for example, if player 1 cheats this round, then player 2 would cheat in the next round to retaliate for the deviation for what player 1 had done in the beginning. So I'm going to show you. If both players cooperate, each of them would make 20, which is an extra of 15. So they have, in a long term, if the game continues indefinitely, both players they have incentive to cooperate and make 20 every round. But let's say let's imagine that if player 1 cheats. Player 1 decides to deviate from their mutual agreement to cooperate. Player 1 will make 50, so we'll make 50 while player 2 will lose 20. So player 1 will make an extra of $30 as 50 minus 20 is 30. This is the extra profit that player 1 will make if player 1 deviates from their agreement to cooperate. But the thing is, player 1 does not have the incentive to deviate from their agreement. Why is that? Because with the tit-for-tat strategy, if player 1 deviates, then in round 2, player will deviate as well. So player 2 will cheat in round 2. Then it is player because like tit-for-tat strategy, with the tit-for-tat strategy, player 2 will play what player 1 has played in the round 1, which is to cheat. So there will be this, they will stuck in this never-ending cycle of both cheating. So they will be earning 5 every round as opposed to what they used to earn 20. So player 1 must cooperate. Player 1 must cooperate in round 2 for this cooperation to continue, like for player 2 to continue playing the cooperative solution. So even though player 2 will be making an extra of $30 from round 1, in round 2, player 1 will cooperate while player 2 cheats. So there will be a loss of $20 from not making what he will be used to make when he cooperates, and another $20 loss from cooperating while player 2 cheating. So there is a net loss of -10. There's a net loss of 10. That's why there's no incentive for either player to cheat. So for a long run, the Nash equilibrium would be 20-20, where both players cooperate. And that's how we do this type of question. Yeah. So the third question is, what if the game is played more than once but will end in the second period, or it will end in third period, or that it's a definite repeated game? Okay, so in this situation, it is a finite repeated game. And given the number of games is the common knowledge to both players, the last period of the game is like a static prisoner dilemma, so where both players will be cheating. So let's say if the game continues for 2 periods, in round 2, both players know that the game will not continue further, so they would both play a dominant strategy of cheating, which is 5-5. And knowing the results of the last round, which is round 2, cheating and cheating, then there's no benefit to cooperate in round 1. So in round 1, player 1 and player 2 will also cheat. So the Nash equilibrium for 2 rounds for a 2-period game would be 5-5 in every round. And the same logic applies for when the game is played 3 times. In the last round, which is round 3, both players know that the game will not continue further and will play a dominant strategy of cheating. So in the second last round, they know the results of round 3 would be cheating. So there's no benefit to cooperate in round 2 and therefore round 1 as well. So the Nash equilibrium will always be 5-5 cheating, where it will always be like a prisoner dilemma solution. So the logic behind here is that as long as there is a known like finite end, the game unravels itself from the end to the beginning. So the Nash equilibrium will always be a prisoner dilemma solution. Okay. So let's move on to the second question. Do you guys see this, or do you want me to zoom in? Okay. So in this question, Superstore is the first mover, so it can choose a strategic plan based on what it expects Walmart to choose. So for this type of question, we always use backward induction. So the payoffs on the right are Walmart's payoffs, and the payoffs on the left are Superstore's payoffs. And by using backward induction, Superstore will know that Walmart would definitely choose Plan C to maximize payoff if Superstore chooses Plan A. This is because like 5 is greater than the payoff of 2 for Plan B, greater than 2 for Plan A. And using the same method, Superstore can know that Walmart would definitely go for Plan B if Superstore chooses Plan B. And Superstore will know that Walmart would pick Plan A while Superstore picks Plan C. So we're given these 3 possible combinations of payoff, which is 0, 5, when Superstore chooses Plan A, and 4, 4, when Superstore chooses Plan B, and 2, 6, when Superstore chooses Plan C. Given these 3 combinations, Superstore will pick the one combination that will maximize its own payoff. So you see that 4 gives Superstore the greatest payoff compared to the other 2 options here. So we know that Superstore will be choosing Plan B while Walmart chooses Plan B. Okay. Down there. So the question is asking what is the Nash equilibrium or equilibrium for this game? Okay, so we are assuming that Walmart and Superstore, they move simultaneously and they repeat this every month. So it's like a simultaneous repeated game. How we solve this is if Superstore picks plan A, it's Walmart's best response to also choose plan A because that maximizes profit compared with other two plans. If Superstore chooses plan B, then it's Walmart's best response to choose plan B. If Superstore chooses plan C, then it's Walmart's best response to choose plan C because it maximizes profit. And using the same reasoning, we do it for Superstore. If Walmart chooses plan A, then Superstore would choose plan A. Can you guys see this? If Superstore, if Walmart chooses plan B, then Superstore would definitely choose plan A. If Walmart chooses plan C, the Superstore would choose plan C as well. So in this game, we have two Nash equilibria here, where Walmart and Superstore both play plan A, and where Superstore and Walmart both play plan C. So the next question is asking, what is the Stackelberg equilibrium if Superstore moves first, assuming that it does not cost Superstore anything to be the first mover? So the question was assuming that Superstore has to pay 1.5 million to be the first mover, but this question is asking what if Superstore doesn't have to pay? What would be the Stackelberg equilibrium? So this requires you some time to actually draw Stackelberg model on it, like using the payoff table. And I have it on here already. So how to do this is you use backward induction. Okay, so Superstore will know that Walmart will pick plan A to maximize profit when Superstore chooses plan A. So the expected payoff for Superstore and Walmart will be 6 and 3. And using the same reasoning, Superstore will know that Walmart would pick plan B if Superstore picks plan B. So the payoff will be 4, 4 and 4. And if Superstore chooses plan C, then Walmart would pick plan C to maximize payoff. And so given these three possible combinations of payoff, Superstore would pick the one combination that maximizes its own profit, and that is plan A. So Superstore and Walmart will be choosing plan A. So the next question is asking, what if now Superstore needs to pay that $1.5 million to be the first mover? Should Superstore pay for that? Okay, I'm going to scroll. Just tell me if you want me to scroll back to the question on top. But it's just like $1.5 million. So this question is pretty straightforward because assume that Superstore would pay $1.5 million for the right to move first. Then it is directly subtracting 1.5 from every payoff it will make if it moves first. So Superstore would want to stick with plan A, right? Because it gives the highest payoff. But then if Superstore needs to pay 1.5 to do that, Superstore isn't earning 6. So Superstore would be earning 6 minus 1.5. So it will give a payoff of 4.5 really. Then if Superstore is only earning 4.5 for moving first, Superstore wouldn't have the incentive to be the first mover because if you look back at the table here, when Superstore and Walmart move simultaneously, Walmart can choose to pre-communicate with, Superstore can choose to pre-communicate with Walmart to play at a 5-5 solution. And Superstore would be earning 5 compared to only 4.5 if Superstore moves first. So Superstore does not have the incentive to actually pay for the first mover right. Yep, let's move on to the next question. Okay, so in this question, it's saying that Nintendo is doing really well in releasing a Pokemon video game, and then PlayStation wants to enter the market to actually earn some profit as well. Then on this graph here, you see that so whether Nintendo would pay to monopolize the franchise of Pokemon depends on whether the profit of doing so will be at least the profit of actually accommodating the entry. So Nintendo would purchase the Pokemon franchise to deter entry if the payoff of doing so is greater or equal to the payoff of accommodated entry. So accommodated entry here means letting PlayStation just enter. So Nintendo will be doing nothing and just let PlayStation enter. So we compare the payoff of so this is the payoff. This is a payoff if a superstore pays to actually deter entry, and $7,000 is the payoff that that Nintendo would get if PlayStation enters. Then the payoff has to be greater or equal to if PlayStation enters. So we do some math here. So Nintendo would be willing to pay up to $3,000 to deter PlayStation from entering the market, because if Nintendo needs to pay anything above $3,000 to prevent entry, Nintendo will make a profit of smaller than $7,000, which is lower than what Nintendo would be earning if PlayStation enters the market. In this case, Nintendo would rather accommodate entry. So 3,000x has to be greater or smaller. Greater or smaller than 3,000. Yeah. Oh. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is it always right to put the sign as a matter?
Because if you're making the same if you accommodate entry, or if you pay for the right to deter entry, then why not deter entry? Because if you have a competitor in the market, then you will have something to care about. You will have to, for every decision you make in the future, you will have to consider your competitor. So it's always in Nintendo's best position to actually deter entry, given the same payoff. Yeah, that's why it has to be like smaller or equal to 3,000. Okay, so the next question is asking, assume that Y stands for the profit that PlayStation expects to make upon entering the market. And what profit does PlayStation need to make to enter the market of the Pokemon video game? So in this question, we know the payoff for Nintendo is 7,000, and for PlayStation, the payoff is kind of unknown. So you have to know that the $2,000 here actually stands for the fixed cost or the upfront cost that PlayStation will need to pay to enter the market. And PlayStation wants to make a profit that would be better than not entering the market, because if PlayStation is making lower profit than not entering the market, then why would PlayStation enter? And the profit of not entering is 0. Okay. We compare the profit of entering with the profit of not entering, which is 0. Simple. You just need y to be larger than $2,000. So PlayStation would want to make at least $2,000. Well, not at least, has to be greater than $2,000 to have the incentive to enter the market. If PlayStation makes anything lower than $2,000, PlayStation would be making 0 or negative profit. So in that case, PlayStation would rather stay out of the market, and that's called block entry. If y is small. So the last question is asking, will Nintendo have the incentive to pay $4,000 to monopolize the Pokemon franchise? And this is also pretty straightforward, because remember that if Nintendo pays for the right to actually deter PlayStation from entering, then this is the payoff that Nintendo will expect to make. But when X is 4,000, Nintendo is making a profit of only 6,000, which is lower than the 7,000 that Nintendo would be making if PlayStation enters the market. So, in a rational sense, Nintendo would not want to pay the $4,000 and would just accommodate entry. But what if there are also other competitors that want to enter the market? Then that's a different situation, because there's a thing called reputation. Nintendo would spend $4,000 at the cost of its own to actually fight back, to build reputation. And so the other competitors would perceive Nintendo to be really competitive, and would actually deter the other competitors from entering as well. So fighting PlayStation would be a rational long-term strategy that Nintendo may consider in deterring other competitors from entering the market as well. So in the short term, Nintendo would not pay the $4,000, but in the long run, Nintendo would rather pay the $4,000 at its own cost. Okay, so we move on to the next one, which is behavioral decision making under uncertainty. And you can take a look at the question. if there are other competitors that consider entering the market, then Nintendo would pay the $4,000 to fight back, because it's a way to build up the reputation. So for this question, I'll give you a reminder here. The formula for calculating variance is this. So the question is asking which option has the higher risk. The risk is measured by variance, and the larger the variance, the greater the risk. And the first thing you need to do here is you need to calculate the expected value of each option. So each option. For option 1, you have an expected value of 50% chance of getting 200 times $200, and 50% chance of getting $20 times $30. So that gives you an expected value of 110. For option 2, you have an expected value of 35% times $250 plus 65% times $10, and that gives you an expected value of 94 for option 2. At option 3, you are basically getting, Kelvin is basically getting the $100 for certain. So the expected value of option 3 would be $100. So now we have all the expected values, so we have all the numbers we need to solve for the variance. So we just plug in all the numbers into this formula right here. For option 1, you have a variance of 50%, which is the PI here, times 200 minus the expected value of option 1, so it's 110, and you need to have a bracket here and square it, plus this. So for option 1, you have a variance of 8,100. For option 2, you do the same thing. 35% times 250 minus 94, bracket square, plus 65%, 10 minus 94, bracket square, and you have a variance of 13,104 for option 2. So option 3 is very simple. You have a variance of 0 because you are getting it for certain anyway. So out of all these options, the one option with the highest variance has the greatest risk. So it is option 2 that has the greatest risk. investment option will Calvin pick?
Sorry. For the third option,
Mhm.
it says expected value is 100.
Mhm.
But it says that he's going to pay back $100 in addition to the initial amount borrowed. So even though I can tell by the tuition that the variance is 0, would the expected value actually be 100 plus X, where X is the valid?
I'm not sure if I'm understanding your question, but would you mind coming up and asking the same question? We are going to have a break in 10 minutes. Thanks for asking that. So in this question, if Calvin is risk neutral, and since we are given expected utility function here, we can solve for it by plugging in the number. We compare the expected utility of each option, and the option with the highest expected utility, Calvin would pick that one to maximize expected utility. So for option 1, the expected utility would be just 50% times $200 plus 50% times $110. So it is 110. For option 2, the expected utility is 35% times 250 plus 65% times $10, and that gives an expected utility of 94. Option 3, you basically have 1 times 100, and that gives you an expected utility of 100. Yeah.
For option 1, isn't that 0.5 times 20 instead of 0.5 times
Oh yeah,
1?
sorry. Yeah. Thanks for pointing this out. Luckily, I can erase this. It's $20. Yeah. Okay. The next question. Okay. So yeah, I'm not done with this one. So if Kelvin is risk neutral, Kelvin would go for option 1 because it gives the highest expected utility out of all the 3 options. So the next question is the same, but except this time Kelvin's risk averse. So you do the same thing. You plug in the numbers into this function. So for option 1, the expected utility is 0.5 times 200 to the power of 1/2 plus 25 times 20 to the power of 1/2, and you have an expected utility of 9.31. Option 2, you do the same thing. 35% times 250 to the power of 1/2 plus 65% times 10 to the power of 1/2, you get an expected utility of 7.59. For option 3, you are basically getting it for $100 for certain, and you're plugging the $100 into the formula, and you get 10. So out of all the 3 options, option 3 gives the highest expected utility to Calvin if Calvin is risk averse. And it also makes sense because Calvin is risk averse. So this option gives the highest certainty, right? Because Calvin is getting $100 for certain. The next question is assuming that Calvin is risk preferring with this utility function. Can I move the paper, or are you guys still copying this? Is that okay for me? Okay. And for risk preferring, you also do the same thing, except this time you have a different utility function. So for option 1, it's 50% times $200 to the power of 2, plus 50% times 20 squared, and you have an expected utility of $20,200. 200. For option 2, you have 35% times $250 squared plus 65% 10 squared, and you have 21,940. For option 3, you have a 100% chance of getting the $100, so you times 100 squared, you have an expected utility of 10,000. But for Kelvin, if Kelvin is risk preferring, option 2 yields the highest expected utility out of all the options, so Kelvin would pick option 2. Okay, let's move on to the next question about Betty. for this question, we are given two options. Debbie is given two options. Debbie can either walk away with $50 for certain, or actually enter a draw to have a 60% chance of winning $20, or and a 40% chance of winning $100. And we're also given the utility function of Debbie. To solve this question, the first thing you need to do is just for each option, you plug in the number to find expected utility. So option 1, you have an expected utility of 50 to the power of 0.25. So that gives an expected utility of 2.66. For option 2, the expected utility of entering the draw is basically 4 times 100 to the power of 0.25 plus 60% chance times $20